Precision hedging for RWE and HEOR, Causality-Aware English. Words matter enormously in health economics and outcomes research, HEOR, and real-world evidence, RWE, because the language you use shapes how readers draw conclusions. Saying something is an association versus a causal effect leads decision-makers to very different actions, coverage, guideline changes, or further trials. If you overstate certainty, you risk poor decisions, lost credibility, and harmful policy shifts. Conversely, careful wording preserves trust and supports sound decisions. That's why hedging, choosing language that preserves nuance and acknowledges uncertainty, is not weakness, but scientific rigor and professional responsibility. Hedging serves three core functions in scientific writing. First, it softens certainty using modal verbs and qualifiers like may, might, likely, or appears to, which prevent overclaiming. Second, it limits inference by specifying scope, who, where, and when the results apply, population, setting, time frame. Third, hedging signals evidence strength with phrases such as consistent with, in line with, or provides limited support for, to communicate whether findings are robust or tentative. Together, these tools let you state findings honestly while guiding appropriate interpretation and action. Certain patterns reliably convey caution in RWE writing. Start with association-first phrases like was associated with or linked to avoid implying causation. Use conditional framing, suggests, may indicate, is consistent with, when evidence points toward but does not prove a mechanism. Avoid causal verbs such as caused, unless a randomized design and appropriate analysis support them. Instead, replace with cautious alternatives like was associated with, quote, quote, correlated with, or compatible with. These patterns keep your claims aligned with the strength of the data. Words alone are not enough. Always pair qualitative hedges with quantitative measures. Report effect sizes, confidence intervals, CI, and p-values alongside your language so readers see both magnitude and precision. Phrase interpretations concretely. For example, the estimate suggests a 12% increase in event rate, 95% CI, 4% to 20%, which communicates direction, size, and uncertainty. Don't rely on vague qualifiers like may without context. Alone, they leave too much to interpretation. Precise numbers plus cautious wording lets others judge clinical and policy relevance appropriately. Good hedging means naming limitations explicitly. Identify potential biases, confounding, measurement error, selection bias, and explain how they might affect results. Restrict claims to what was actually observed and to the studied population. Say, in this cohort of adults with X condition, rather than generalizing broadly. When uncertainty remains, propose next steps, additional analyses, external validation, or randomized studies. Framing results this way acknowledges limits while advancing knowledge responsibly, helping decision-makers weigh evidence without overstating certainty. Use short templates to speed clear, cautious writing. Begin with study design and strength. In this observational study, or in this retrospective cohort of patients with combined measure and qualifier, was associated with a 15% change, 95% CI, 5% to 25%, suggesting a possible clinically meaningful effect. Always add a caveat about residual bias. In this population, residual confounding cannot be excluded. These simple constructions communicate findings, quantify uncertainty, and flag limitations in one compact sentence. Watch for 3 frequent errors. First, overstating, turning associations into causal claims, can mislead readers and harm decisions. Second, mixing causal language with weak evidence, for example saying caused, in an observational study, undermines credibility. Third, using hedges inconsistently or as vague cover-ups, throwing in may without data, creates ambiguity rather than clarity. Aim for consistency. Let your study design, analyses, and language all tell the same story about how confident you are in the findings. Choose words that match the evidence, strength, and study design. Stronger designs justify firmer language. Weaker designs require more caution. Always combine precise numbers, effect sizes, CIs, p-values, with cautious phrasing, so readers see both magnitude and uncertainty. Be explicit about limitations and propose reasonable next steps instead of declaring definitive causation. Clear, honest hedging protects credibility, improves decisions, and advances scientific dialogue. Exactly what professionals in HEOR and RWE need to achieve impact.